So if you've ever, found yourself just staring at a digital marketing campaign report,
Oh, yeah.
be it from Facebook, Meta, Google, or wherever, and you feel that sort of cold wave of confusion, you are not alone.
Not at all. It feels like you're being handed the keys to a race car, but the entire dashboard is in a language you don't speak.
It's hieroglyphics.
Exactly. And it's not just jargon. It's deliberately nuanced jargon. If you don't know the specific rules for each platform, you just end up wasting budget. You're driving blind.
And that is precisely our mission today. We're going to take the foundational source material, the core key performance indicators, the KPIs that Meta and Google use, and we're going to turn that really complex glossary into, strategic insight.
Right.
This deep dive is your shortcut.
Right. By the end of this conversation, you'll get the critical difference between the signals these two digital giants use to define and, frankly, to reward success.
Okay, so where do we start?
We'll start with the basics, the things they actually agree on, and then we'll dive into the unique signals each platform loses to tell you if you're winning or losing.
Okay, let's unpack this. So every campaign, it has to start with visibility, right?
Yeah.
And that brings us to the most basic metric of all, impressions.
Right.
In both Facebook and Google, this is just the number of times the ad is displayed to a user. It's pure exposure.
And look, we have to stress the nuance here. For you, the listener, you need to get this. Impressions, they just count the display instances.
Okay.
So if I scroll past your ads, say 3 times in my feed today, that's 3 impressions, even though I am just one person.
Got it.
Impressions are the absolute starting line. If you don't have them, literally nothing else can happen.
Right. So impressions are the start, but the finish line, the thing that justifies the entire expense, that has to be conversion.
Absolutely. A conversion is the count of desired business results, the actions taken by the user after they see or interact with your ad.
And this is way beyond just a simple click.
Oh, way beyond. We're talking about actual business value. People buying a product, signing up for a newsletter, downloading an app, that kind of thing.
But conversion seems simple in its definition, but isn't the tracking of it where all the complexity comes in? You hear about attribution windows, view-throughs.
That's the strategic depth right there. It's not enough to just say they bought something. You have to know when to give the ad credit.
Okay.
So an attribution window, like a 7-day click or 1-day view, is just the period of time where the platform is allowed to take credit for that sale.
Because people almost never buy immediately.
Almost never. And view-through conversions, that's where Meta really shines. It means the user never clicked the ad, but they saw it, and then they converted later within that window. It's measuring indirect influence.
Which makes sense. You see an ad, you don't click, but it's in your head.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of clicks, both platforms measure this at that moment of interest. Though Meta often specifies link click for an external website.
It's the digital handshake, the user saying, okay, tell me more.
And here's where things start to split. I think this is where the fundamental philosophical difference between them first really shows itself, and it's massive.
It is.
It's the definition of a video view.
A textbook example of how the platform, the ecosystem itself, shapes the metric.
So on Facebook, a video view is counted if a user watches for, 3 seconds.
Just 3 seconds.
3 seconds or more. That's it.
Now hold that number, and let's jump over to Google, specifically YouTube.
Okay.
For Google, a view is defined as the number of times users watched for 30 seconds.
30, not 3.
30 seconds or more, or, the entire video if it's shorter. But that gap 3 versus 30, that tells you everything.
It tells you about user intent.
Precisely. 3 seconds implies you're just, scrolling through a feed really fast. It's a flicker of attention.
Yeah.
Your ad has to grab them in that first second.
The thumb-stopping power.
Yes. But on YouTube, 30 seconds. That implies the user had intent. They chose not to hit skip. You've earned that 30 seconds of commitment. It demands a totally different creative approach.
It really changes what success even means for a video ad. Okay, let's carry that idea into the unique metrics for each platform. Let's focus on Meta. Since Facebook is, a social environment, its metrics are really designed to track interaction, virality, and how often you're hitting the same person.
And the foundational metric here, the one that captured that immediate feedback, is engagement.
Right, which is everything. Likes, shares, comments, saves, all the clicks. That's the total measure of social activity your ad created. It shows if the content was, sticky.
But the real strategic control on Facebook, that comes from balancing how you expose your ad to the audience. And for that, you have to understand the relationship between reach and frequency.
Okay, so reach is simple enough. It's the number of unique users who saw your ad.
One person, one reach count. Doesn't matter how many times they saw it.
And frequency.
Yeah.
That's the one you have to watch.
That's your strategic lever. It's calculated as impressions divided by reach. And it just tells you the average number of times a unique person saw your ad.
I remember I had a client once whose frequency got up to 7.
Oof.
And people started leaving negative comments on the ad, like, stop showing me this. That's ad fatigue.
That is classic ad fatigue, and that's exactly why you need this metric. Best practice is usually somewhere between, say, 1.8 and 2.5.
And if you go over that,
your cost per result starts to skyrocket because people are either ignoring you or, worse, they're actively starting to dislike your brand. Managing frequency is everything for budget optimization on Meta.
Now, beyond the big goals like purchases, Meta campaigns often optimize for other things, like getting a page like or a mobile app install.
Right.
And this brings us to how Meta measures efficiency with something called the result.
The result can be a tricky concept, but only because it changes based on what you ask for. If your campaign objective is engagement, then a like or a share is the result.
And if the objective is traffic,
then the result is a link click. It's simply the outcome the platform is trying to get for you.
So it's not always a final conversion, it's the intended action. And this lets us calculate efficiency.
Correct. We measure the efficiency of your visibility with the result rate. That's results divided by impressions.
And why would you use that instead of a standard click-through rate, or CTR?
Because CTR only measures clicks. Result rate can measure the efficiency of any action. A click, an engagement, a video view relative to how many people saw the ad. It's perfect for top-of-funnel campaigns where clicks aren't the main goal yet.
And then, to tie it all to the money, we have CPR, or cost per result.
Amount spent divided by results. It tells you the true cost of getting that one specific outcome you wanted from the start.
It's a very brand-aware system. It's all about the relationship between the content and the user over time.
Exactly.
All right, shifting gears to Google. Now we're leaving that social feed-based world, and we're entering a world that is all about immediate user intent.
Search queries and real-time auctions.
Right. Google's metrics are heavily weighted toward relevance and efficiency, especially in paid search and shopping ads.
Google is the platform for the immediate answer. If you're searching for something, you want a relevant result now. So, unlike Facebook's focus on engagement, Google's main KPI is almost always about the precision of the click.
And the core metric here is that one everyone knows, CTR, click-through rate.
Clicks divided by impressions.
It's the ultimate signal of how well your ad copy matched what the user was actually looking for.
If your CTR is high on Google search, it means your headline and your description were so perfectly aligned with the search that the user just clicked without a second thought. It's the main way Google measures if your ad is any good.
That brings us to the alphabet soup of cost models. It feels like Google has a separate cost metric for every single type of ad interaction.
They do. They segmented the market a long time ago. So you've got the standard CPC, cost per click, the cost for one click, common everywhere.
Then you have the awareness metrics, like for branding campaigns.
Right. That's where you use CPM, or cost per 1,000 impressions. That's the cost for every 1,000 times your ad is shown. Good for display ads or bumper ads.
And for video.
That would be CPV, or cost per view. But we have to remember that much stricter 30-second definition of a view.
Okay, so you choose the model based on the goal.
Exactly. You choose CPM when you want massive, cheap reach and you don't really care about clicks. You choose a cost per action model when you need efficiency.
Which brings us to the bottom funnel metric, CPA.
Cost per action, the cost for a specific measurable conversion, like a lead or a purchase.
These cost models are versatile, but you're saying they're all sort of secondary to one thing.
They are all subservient to the single most important unique lever in the entire Google ecosystem, the quality score.
Quality score, that's the rating, from 1 to 10, that basically determines your fate in the auction. Why is it so important?
Because it is Google's primary tool for rewarding relevance and, well, for penalizing lazy advertising. The implication is huge. A higher score leads directly to lower costs and a higher ad rank.
So Google actually rewards you for being helpful to their user.
They reward you with cheaper traffic, yes.
But hold on. If quality score dictates success, doesn't that sort of penalize advertisers who need to run broader top-of-funnel campaigns where relevance is harder to define?
And that's the tension in the Google system. It is built for direct response. To master quality score, you have to realize it's driven by three things that people often overlook.
Okay.
Expected CTR, so Google's prediction of how likely people are to click. Ad relevance, how well your ad copy matches the search term. And landing page experience, how fast and relevant your website is.
So if any one of those three fails,
your score drops and your costs go up. Google rewards a seamless journey from search to answer.
So if Facebook is rewarding you for managing persistent visibility and social interaction,
Google is rewarding you for achieving hyper-relevance and providing the best immediate answer. Two totally different games.
So we've definitely moved past that initial jargon barrier today. We looked at how conversion and impressions are universal. But the really crucial point is how the definitions of attention, that startling 3-second versus 30-second video view difference, are just so perfectly tailored to the user mindset on each platform.
And strategically, we see two completely different control mechanisms. On Meta, your core strategic job is managing frequency. You want to stay visible, but you don't want to burn out your audience.
And on Google.
On Google, your core control is quality score, making sure every single click you pay for is highly relevant to the search, which is what drives your profitability.
Understanding which metric defines success on which platform. That lets you optimize your budget not just for spending less, but for spending smarter inside that unique ecosystem.
You're optimizing for the platform's core philosophy.
Exactly.
And that leads to this final thought to leave you with. Facebook prioritizes the relationship between reach and frequency, emphasizing that persistent visibility and sort of nurturing awareness over time. And Google prioritizes quality score, emphasizing immediate focused answers and direct intent. What does that tell you about where you should place your initial creative effort?
You mean, should you use one platform to build a relationship and the other to capture the sale?
Exactly. Should you use Facebook to build that relationship slowly and then use Google to capture the intent the very moment it appears? Consider the user's mindset behind the metric as you plan your next campaign.